What's up, metalheads? My name's Jamie. This is the Blades and EDC channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. If you're new, consider subscribing. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Alright guys, today we're going to take a look at 5 fantastic EDC knives. These are knives that are going to perform very well. Ergonomically, they're going to have blade steel that holds an edge for a good amount of time, and in some cases for a ridiculously long period of time. And good materials, and they just make great EDC knives. You know, some knives aren't as good for EDC as others. Some knives too big, too bulky, or too thick a blade stock, or different things. And this one is a runner-up, Bridgeport 395. This is not in this 5 list, although it very well could be, but it's not in there. First up, Kaizer Mini Sheepdog. Everybody knows and loves well, I think everybody knows the Kaizer Mini Sheepdog. I don't know if everybody loves it. I love it. It's a fantastic knife. Thin blade stock, not very big, not very heavy. Has the forward finger choil, so you can get a full grip on this small knife. 154 cm blade steel. Their Kizer's 154 cm is done extremely well. It takes a mean edge and it holds it for a really good amount of time. And as we go up in price here with the knives, this is the least expensive knife on the list. We're going to get into some different blade steels that will hold their edge longer than this. But for 65, 70 bucks, the Kaizer Mini Sheepdog is just a fantastic knife. And there are many different options, but one thing I would recommend is do not get the flipper version with the Mini Sheepdog, in my opinion, because you lose this forward finger choil. Then you're stuck holding it back here. It's not nearly as comfortable. It just doesn't feel as good in hand. The small version does not, or the mini version does not feel as good in hand back here, but right here is where it's at. So they do make these in flippers. I would not recommend the one with flipper. I would only recommend the one with the hole. Next up, one of the most popular EDC knives out there, the Spyderco Pair 3. This one's S45VN. There are lots of different options for the Pair 3 blade steels. Even the more base version, the S30V, is going to be a fantastic steel that's going to hold an edge for a long time, and it's not hard to sharpen. S45VN is going to hold the edge even longer, and it's not hard to sharpen either. Ergos are truly amazing on a Pair 3. Pair 3 is one of those knives, for me, and I think for a lot of people, they look at the knife and the shape of it, and they don't like it. They think it's ugly. Generally, it's the blade shape, I think, turns, like newer people getting into knives, turns them off. They look at this blade shape and like, man, that's ugly. It doesn't make sense to them. Once you get one of these in hand and hold it, you understand why it looks the way it looks. It looks the way it looks, so it feels the way it feels. Fantastic knife. I'm not familiar if they're more budget still. The BDN one, I've never used that version, so I can't speak on that one. I think it's very similar to D2, but I would start at least with the S30V version and go up from there with the blade steel. S30V you can get for about 160 bucks, 150 bucks. You catch them on sale, you get them for even less. I got this one, S45VN, on sale for I think 150. Somewhere in that range, maybe a little less than 150. So, yep, Pair 3, an amazing knife. One of the greatest knife designs ever created, in my opinion, in my personal opinion. Next up, the Urban EDC F5.5 M390 blade steel on these, which is going to take and hold an edge for a long, long time. You're not going to have to worry about it rusting. This one's the Micarta version. It does have all titanium hardware liners, so it's going to hold up very well to corrosion. You should have no corrosion at all. Urban EDC actually does have some of these in stock right now, I'm pretty sure. I think they have a Stormtrooper version with a black blade and white G10. I think they have a titanium version also currently in stock. So, by the way, I'll link all these below that I can. If they're in stock, I'll link them where I can link them at. This knife has fantastic ergos. Some of the best ergos you're ever going to feel. A little thicker blade stock on this one than some of the others. It's even thicker. A little bit thicker than the Pair 3, but not by much. Pair 3 is a little thicker blade stock too, but it's not too thick. It still cuts extremely well with the full flat grind. Same on the Pair 3. So great action, great ergos, great fit and finish with it being made by Riat. And when the Micarta versions are in stock, I think you can get them for like $230. So next up, we're going to jump up in price here for these next two. And these next two went back and forth. Which one I like better. This is more of a preference thing. I'm not going to say one's better than the other. They're very different knives though. And next up is going to be the Sandrin knives Torino. These run about $290. Carbon fiber handle. This one has, I can't remember what they call their lock, but they say it's a Snex inspired lock. Works just like a Snex lock. But this one, you know, with that new Snex knife, I can't remember the name of it, the lock keeps popping out on a lot of people, and they don't like that. That's not an issue with this knife. It does not pop out. It stays in there no matter how hard you pull it, how far you pull it back. Works extremely well. This knife is very different than every other knife on this list because this is a tungsten carbide blade. This is not steel. And some people may not like that because, you know, it's great in one aspect, but there's another aspect it's not so great. The greatness about it is that, you know, you could use this knife and not sharpen it for probably a year or two. I don't know how long it would take to really dull out this tungsten carbide. The downside is that when you do go to sharpen it, they're not the easiest. Tungsten carbide is not easy to sharpen. Now, there are some videos on YouTube showing how to sharpen it using lapping paper, so it can be sharpened. It just takes more work. But, you know, if you just got to spend more time sharpening it and it's going to last you a year, one edge, then, you know, just spend the time doing it. And Sandrin also does resharpenings for you. So you can always send it to Sandrin and get it sharpened. There is a more budget-friendly version of this knife in G10 instead of carbon fiber, and it's like $200. But this thing's lightweight. Ergos on this version with the contoured carbon fiber are truly amazing. This thing feels amazing in hand. And look how thin that blade is, man, because it's tungsten carbide. They can take it down so thin. This is one of those knives, in my opinion, it can be a one and done, really. Buy it once, and if you're not a knife collector and you're just looking for a nice knife, you can buy a nice knife and have a one and done. This one would fit that bill, as long as you keep in mind the sharpening aspect of it. If you're just using it for basic things, you may never even need to sharpen this knife, honestly. You may be able to go through open packages the rest of your life and never need to sharpen it. It's going to hold an edge that long. The action's fantastic. It feels so good in hand, it really does. It's amazing in hand. The one at the G10, the scales are shaped differently, have some milling out in them and stuff, so I'm not sure how that one would feel in hand. But this more premium version feels absolutely amazing in hand. That's something else with the EDC side of things. It's got to have good ergos, right? It must have good ergos. If it doesn't have good ergos, in my opinion, it's not going to be a good EDC knife. And number one on the list, the Quiet Carry Drift. This is another one of those knives that's made to last forever, really. So is this, honestly. Vanax steel, LC200N lock bar insert, stainless steel pocket clip, phosphorus bronze washers, titanium hardware. This thing will not rust. People have taken this knife, soaked it in salt water in a cup, and the blade will not rust. This Vanax is amazing still. It will take a mean edge and it will hold it for a really long time. It may be I don't know, it's kind of subjective. It may be the best steel out there right now. It could possibly be the best steel as far as corrosion resistance, ease of sharpening, and edge retention. May be the best out there. You know, some people may feel differently about that. Some people may think Magna Cut's better. I don't know. I would say they're comparable to each other, Magna Cut and Vanax. But man, this is truly an amazing knife. Super thin blade stock. Obviously not as thin as the tungsten carbide blade, but still for steel, this is a very thin blade stock. Thin in the handle. Forward finger choil. Every one of these knives has a forward finger choil, in case you didn't notice. Ergonomic perfection with this knife. Lightweight. This is the titanium version. You can also get it in G10. You can also get it in polished titanium instead of this bronze titanium. You can get it with this milling pattern, which is $5 more, or you can get it with just a stonewashed titanium. I would highly recommend this milling pattern. I can't remember what they call it, but it's super grippy, but not uncomfortably grippy. It feels like super grippy G10 does, if you know what I mean. It doesn't feel like G10, but when they do that, certain kinds of G10 just feel that way. Like this is much more grippy than that G10. Yeah, it's done so well. Such a great knife, man. I absolutely love the drift. It's truly an amazing knife. The detent is absolutely amazing. The action is amazing. Ergos are amazing. The materials used are amazing. It's truly a one and done knife. If you're looking for a one knife, if you don't want to deal with tungsten carbide, one knife, you don't collect knives, you want a nice knife, it's going to last you the rest of your life. Or you're looking for, you're a woman looking for a nice knife for your husband. For a present or something. If you're okay with spending $300, you're not going to find much better than this out there. It truly is a spectacular knife. They've done such a good job on this thing, man. Such an amazing knife. Love it, love it. And you got enough to sharpen off for the rest of your life there. And honestly, you're not going to have to sharpen this knife very often with the Van Axe. So, and you don't ever have to worry about it rusting. It will not rust. So it's a true one and done deal here. The Quiet Carry Drift. One of the best knives ever made, in my personal opinion. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Comment below, what's your favorite EDC knife, and what is a requirement for an EDC knife for you? Ergonomics, it's got to have good ergonomics for me, and it's got to be hold an edge for a decent amount of time and not be too, not be chippy. If you know what I mean, it's gonna, hold its edge. And other than this one, these are all fairly easy to sharpen, not super difficult to sharpen. This one is a different situation, but you're never going to have to sharpen it. Maybe once or twice every few years, couple years, and you can always send it in and have it done. So maybe not be a one and done if you guys send it in and have it sharpened. I may have should have left this off the list, but I just couldn't. I can't. It's just too good of a knife. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one.